Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts. Today, I'm going to be talking about The Last of Us HBO show. It just came out this past Sunday. I had a little watch party with one of my friends, and if you guys don't know where it is, it's on HBO Max. So it's kind of like paid subscription. You buy it, and I mean it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just HBO Max. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys know what it is. But anyway, this is kind of a follow-up to the video I made a few months ago. It was another My Thoughts video. It was just talking about the HBO series before it came out, The Last of Us HBO series before it came out, and now that it's out, I'm going to make a video on it. Granted, this is only the first episode we're going to be talking about because that's all that's came out so far, and that's all that I've watched. But trust me, I'm going to be making more of my thoughts on this because I plan on watching, the rest of the series and for however long it goes. I don't know if I'm going to make my thoughts on every episode that I watch, but definitely every few episodes I'm probably going to make my thoughts just to give you guys an update on what I think so far. But let's just talk about the first episode. I watched it with a friend. Great experience. It's certainly interesting, to say the least. It's not necessarily something, of course there's been game series that have turned into shows like this, but quite frankly, I think this was probably one of the greatest adaptations, of a video game turned into show, which is rare to say, because I know there's been a lot of shows that have, that are based off video games or from video games that haven't really turned out that well. But The Last of Us HBO series was different. It was truly immersive. Now, there are a few things, of course, that I don't like about it, and there are things, of course, that I love about it. It's first of all, it's basically it's by the way, there's gonna be light spoilers. I'm not gonna spoil everything, but I'm just gonna talk about a little bit of what happened, go into depth for that. So, light spoiler warning. It's just basically the game, but it's not what you think. It's not the same characters, and it's not pretty much everything that you're expecting. A few things that I've noticed are changed around, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of detail about that. One of the things to start off with I noticed is that instead of 2013 Outbreak Day coming in 2013, it comes in 2003. September 26, 2003 is when Outbreak Day starts and everything goes down in the show. Furthermore, so when you go to the time skip 20 years later, it's 2023, which is where the show sets place and it's actually present day, today. So just a little thing I noticed, just nothing really, everything else is the same, just the year changes. So it's 2023 when, after the time skip, it's today's present day. So, I mean, I just noticed that, it's interesting that they did that. And, so that's one of the smaller things I noticed. And then a few smaller things are dialogue changes. Instead of Joel's next door neighbor being Jimmy, it's actually, I think it's like two old ladies, and instead of Jimmy being the infected, the old lady ends up being infected, and I think one of the old ladies at least, and Sarah actually goes over to help them and all that stuff, and it's interesting, because that's something that changed, because we got to see a little bit before, the outbreak, like maybe a day or so before, just a day leading up to the outbreak, because remember in the game we saw Joel coming home, or and Sarah and him talking, and then him going to Sarah going to sleep, and then wake up, and then it's outbreak. But no, we got to see a little bit before that. We got to saw, I think, the morning of. We got to see Tommy beforehand and everything, and then that was interesting. And then instead of killing the old lady who turned into an infected with a gun, Joel just goes there with a wrench. So just little things basically that happen, just little changes. It's not exactly like the game. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much for the most part like the game. But I like that they made it kind of, to a certain extent, their own, you know what I mean? It's still The Last of Us, it's still The Last of Us plot, but sometimes, little things are changing, um, just little changes who, it kind of makes it its own show, you know what I mean? If that makes sense, I don't know. Also, of course, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last episode when I talked about The Last of Us HBO. There's no spores because there won't be any spores that you're gonna enter a spores area and you have to put on a mask. That won't happen anymore. I think they transmit I'm not sure entirely how it works, but I think they transmit the disease with these little the infected transmits the disease with these little things hanging out of their mouths. I think they're like kind of like spores, but not necessarily it. I think it's something like that. I'm not sure if that's how they transmit, but I think I heard something like that. I'm not sure if that's sound information, but there's just no spores. They transmit another way. I'm not sure if that's the way, but that's how they um, transmit it. Then just little plot changes, little things when we get into Boston. Ellie is chained up. Like we get to see a few extra scenes with Ellie, like before, because remember, basically they met Marlene. Joel and Tess met Marlene first, and then they went to go see Ellie, but instead Marlene was keeping Ellie chained up for her own safety. We see some extra scenes with Marlene and Ellie, just things basically going on inside Boston that we didn't get to see, or before Joel went to sleep, or Joel didn't really go to sleep, but just extra scenes around that we really didn't get to see in the game, and and this is the best part I like about it. There's no scene that could be too long. Now, what I mean by that is, when you're in a game, you want to play the game. You don't want the cutscenes to be like 5 hours long. But when it's a show, you watch the show. You're watching a show, so you could have as long cutscenes as basically the whole thing's a cutscene. You could have as long as scenes as you want. So that's also something that I like, because of course it's not a game; it's a show now. But just basically little things, some extra scenes that I've noticed. Ellie is, from the first episode, Ellie was played great. Her actor played absolutely beautifully. Joel's actor was played great. All the actors were really played great, and everything. I have praise for the show. It's really good. I think they pulled the first episode off good. But now I'm gonna start to critique it a bit. I love The Last of Us, the first episode. I mean, I'm The Last of Us fan all around, as you guys know. But there's some things that they could have done better, you know what I mean? They could have done a few things better, such as the way they handled the military. First off, the way they handled the military was, first of all, it showed Joel making a deal with a military person, because of course, a few military people are corrupt within Boston, and they will turn a blind eye to certain things. But the military, they're not as they were in the show. They're kind of like, they could get bribed easily, like for example when they caught Ellie, Tess, and Joel out in the rain, Joel could have made a deal with the soldier, he said, I think the quote was, "Give me all your rations or all your ration cards or something, supplies or whatever, and then I could let this walk." Compared to the game where the soldier, he wasn't taking any bribes, he wasn't going to take anything. So if Joel made it right and Ellie didn't stab him or whatever, he could have paid and walked him off. Which I'm not saying there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just not accurate to the game. You know what I mean? And I'm not wanting the show to be based off of every little thing that happens in the game, but I'm just saying certain things, should be there in place to make sense for it to correlate with the game. But there's just a few other things that just, in my opinion, didn't really correlate with the game. Nothing really too major, nothing that's really show changing. I understand that I want to kind of keep, I would want it to be a little bit original, but also, correlating with the game, but also make it a little bit original, if that makes sense. But very like minor issues with the show, nothing really. But for the most part, it's a great show, and I actually just realized, I actually just found out, and I was thinking about it just to throw it in here. Marlene's actor is actually played by her same actor in the game. So who voices Marlene in the Last of Us game, the first one, actually plays her actor in the HBO series, which is actually spot on. I was wondering, I said, man, she really, she kind of looks familiar. When I was watching this show, I was like, she kind of looks familiar. But yeah, it's the same voice actor for Marlene, so she definitely is spot on and true to the Marlene character. And as for everybody else in the game, like Ellie's, like I said, Ellie's actor played great. Joel's actor played great. All the actors played super great, and a few, like I said, very few bad things in the show so far. And of course, that's only episode 1. So we have a lot more to go here. I'm definitely going to make another My Thoughts for the next, probably the next few Last of Us episodes, just kind of updating you guys with the new episodes, and basically, based obviously what I think of them. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Make sure to subscribe for more content, like the video, all that good stuff. Discord, Twitch, Instagram, links in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video.